While others are preoccupied with spraying, sprinkling, and meticulously tending to every leaf, the Amish are quietly cultivating some of the most stunning and naturally pest-resistant gardens you'll ever see, and they're doing it entirely without chemicals. For the Amish, reaching for a pesticide is about as improbable as trading their horse-drawn carriages for a sleek, modern SUV. Instead, they embrace the power of nature itself. Their approach relies on balance, trusting that nature understands the intricate relationship between plants, bugs, and soil far better than we often give it credit for. But why steer clear of chemicals to begin with? Beyond the obvious environmental harm, the Amish believe that chemical sprays disrupt the delicate balance of the ecosystem. In an Amish garden, harmony reigns supreme. They don't battle against their environment or view nature as an enemy. Instead, they see a garden as a small community where every plant, insect, and patch of soil serves a purpose. The philosophy is simple. A balanced ecosystem creates healthier plants that are naturally more resilient to disease and better equipped to fend off pests. You could say that Amish plants don't rely on chemical armor, but instead thrive with the help of nutrient-rich soil and natural defenses. For the Amish, pest control isn't about declaring war on the garden, but about working with it. Their method doesn't begin with planting seeds or responding to pests. It starts beneath the surface, with the soil. They see healthy soil as the cornerstone, the essential foundation, of a flourishing, pest-resistant garden. Just as a house needs a solid foundation to stand, a garden depends on rich, well-prepared soil to thrive. Amish gardeners recognize this, which is why they dedicate so much time and effort to cultivating soil that is balanced and full of nutrients. They don't rely on synthetic fertilizers or chemical additives. Instead, they stick to age-old practices, using compost, natural manure, and thoughtful soil management to ensure their gardens are as healthy and vibrant as nature intended. The Amish have mastered the art of composting, treating it as the ultimate way to enrich soil without turning to chemical shortcuts. Composting doesn't just nourish the soil, it improves its structure and makes it more resistant to pests. By using compost, they help retain moisture, introduce beneficial microbes, and create an environment where plants grow strong enough to naturally fend off pests. Think of it as a daily health boost for the garden. The plants become resilient and ready to face whatever challenges come their way. The Amish also prioritize natural manure, applying it carefully to avoid over-fertilizing. This method builds robust, organic soil teeming with bacteria and fungi, fostering a miniature ecosystem beneath the surface. By steering clear of synthetic chemicals, they preserve the soil's natural balance and biodiversity, allowing plants to thrive without relying on artificial supports. Their meticulous soil preparation is another cornerstone of their gardening success. The Amish invest time and effort in tilling and aerating the soil, often by hand, to ensure it's loose, well-drained, and ready for planting. They rely on hard work and patience rather than machinery or additives, taking a deliberate, methodical approach to get the soil just right. Anyone who has struggled to grow plants in dry, compacted soil knows it's an uphill battle. Like trying to build a sandcastle on quicksand, it simply doesn't work. The Amish understand that poorly prepared soil invites pests and weakens plants, so they never cut corners when it comes to soil quality. Once the soil is prepped to perfection, the focus shifts to seeds. After all, even the richest soil won't yield a great harvest if the seeds aren't up to par. The Amish approach seed selection with care and intention, often favoring heirloom seeds. What sets their method apart is their dedication to choosing varieties that are naturally resistant to pests and diseases. Instead of grabbing any seed packet off a shelf, the Amish have spent generations saving and trading seeds, carefully selecting the strongest and healthiest varieties. Over time, they've identified plants that can naturally fend off pests or resist diseases, reducing the need for intervention. For example, they might grow red Pontiac potatoes or Brandywine tomatoes, time-tested varieties that are hardy, productive, and capable of withstanding occasional pest attacks. These seeds aren't resistant by accident. The Amish deliberately choose varieties that have proven their resilience, almost like a garden version of boot camp. What's even more remarkable is that by saving seeds year after year, the plants adapt to local conditions, becoming even better at resisting pests over time. It's a self-sustaining cycle of adaptation and improvement that eliminates the need for chemical pesticides. Some plant varieties, like specific beans, even deter pests with their natural scent or texture. Imagine a garden full of plants that insects don't even want to touch, like a sign that says, "No pests allowed." By using pest-resistant seeds, the Amish enjoy better harvests while minimizing the need for constant interventions. This means less spraying, less hassle, and more time to savor the rewards of their labor. A win-win for both the gardeners and the environment. Of course, even the sturdiest plants occasionally need a little help, and the Amish are prepared for that too. They'll often plant, combining pest-resistant plant varieties with those that are more susceptible, helps the Amish create a natural balance in their gardens, reducing the chances of pests taking over any one section. Once these pest-resistant seeds are sown, the next step is ensuring the plants have space to thrive, literally and figuratively. The Amish know that a garden packed with overcrowded rows is a recipe for weak plants and pest problems. They understand that giving each plant room to breathe, grow, and access resources is crucial. This is where the practice of thinning comes in. Thinning isn't just about trimming a few leaves here and there. It's a thoughtful method to ensure every plant receives enough sunlight, air, and nutrients to grow strong and healthy. Think of thinning like hosting a party. If the space is too cramped, guests will jostle for room, leading to discomfort. Similarly, overcrowded plants end up competing for vital resources, which leaves them weaker and more prone to pest infestations. When plants have adequate spacing, they're healthier, and pests find it harder to hide or multiply. Overcrowded gardens create hidden spots for pests to nest and thrive, making infestations harder to detect. Thinning helps open up these spaces, leaving fewer places for insects to settle. Additionally, better airflow reduces moisture buildup, which keeps mildew and mold at bay. For the Amish, thinning is about giving plants the best possible conditions to grow without stress or competition, a chance to reach their full potential. The Amish don't approach thinning half-heartedly either. They're proactive and precise, removing not just leaves, but entire sections of plants when necessary. If something is hogging too much space or dragging down the garden, it's promptly removed. This might seem excessive at first, like giving the garden a drastic haircut, but the results speak for themselves. Plants grow back stronger, healthier, and far better equipped to fend off pests. In an Amish garden, thinning is more than a routine chore. It's an act of care and respect for the plants. By creating space for them to shine, they ensure the garden thrives. And when you see those robust, pest-free crops, you'll know the effort was worth it. A little work up front leads to fewer pests and a bountiful harvest down the line. Once the plants are well spaced and have a solid foundation, the Amish focus on another critical aspect of gardening: timing. Watering at the right time of day can make a significant difference in keeping pests at bay and promoting plant health. While many gardeners might water in the evening or during the heat of midday, the Amish opt for an early morning schedule. Watering at sunrise isn't just a charming habit, it's a smart and practical strategy. Early morning watering ensures plants can absorb the moisture they need without leaving excess water sitting on leaves overnight, which can invite pests and diseases. The Amish take advantage of the cooler morning hours when the sun is just beginning to rise. It's a balance between providing the plants with what they need and avoiding conditions that attract problems. Although the idea of waking up at dawn to water might sound daunting, it's a practice that pays off. By tending to their crops early, the Amish ensure their gardens remain healthy, resilient, and pest-free. It's a small adjustment that makes a big difference in the long-term success of their gardens. Managing a garden can feel like a challenge, but there's solid reasoning behind early morning watering. By watering at the start of the day, you give plants enough time to dry off before evening, reducing the risk of mildew and fungal diseases taking hold. Plus, with the sun still low, the water doesn't evaporate as quickly, ensuring the soil stays moist for longer. It's like treating your garden to a refreshing morning shower before the heat of the day arrives. But here's the real advantage. Watering in the morning keeps pests on their toes. Insects like aphids and beetles, which are early risers, often look for moist spots to settle in. If the soil has already started to dry by mid-afternoon, they're less likely to find a cozy place to feed. Even moisture-loving pests like slugs and snails struggle to move around when the soil dries out early in the day. It's almost like setting up a natural deterrent system to keep pests at bay. With your garden now thriving on healthy soil and a well-timed watering routine, it's time to focus on pest control. This is where the Amish truly shine in their resourceful, eco-friendly approach. Instead of turning to chemical pesticides, which can harm both the environment and the garden, they rely on nature's own solutions. One of their most effective tools is neem oil. Extracted from the seeds of the neem tree, which is native to India, neem oil has earned a spot in Amish gardens for its remarkable pest-repelling abilities. What makes neem oil so powerful is its dual action. It serves as both a repellent and a natural pesticide. It disrupts the feeding and reproduction cycles of pests like aphids, spider mites, and whiteflies. The Amish prepare a simple yet effective neem oil spray by mixing it with water and a bit of soap. They apply it generously to their plants, making sure to coat the undersides of leaves where pests often hide. This clever method not only keeps pests at bay but also does no harm to the plants or the environment. Another favorite Amish remedy is garlic spray. As strong-smelling as you'd expect, garlic's pungent aroma is exactly why it works so well. Its natural properties make it a potent deterrent against beetles and caterpillars. While the smell might make your neighbors think twice about coming over, it's highly effective at keeping pests far away from your garden. For those particularly stubborn pest problems, the Amish combine these natural methods with even more creative solutions, ensuring their gardens remain vibrant, healthy, and chemical-free. When pests prove stubborn, the Amish turn to a fiery solution: chili pepper spray. If garlic spray doesn't send the message, the intense heat of chili peppers will certainly drive pests like beetles, ants, and other unwanted visitors away. Just be cautious about where you spray. It's easy to accidentally spice up your salad with a bit too much heat. Another classic in the Amish pest control arsenal is simple soap spray. It's not just for cleaning dishes. A mix of soap and water works wonders against insects like aphids and spider mites. The soap breaks down their exoskeletons, making it an inexpensive yet highly effective tool. The Amish know that just a little soap can make a big difference in preventing pests from taking over their crops. Even after using sprays and repellents, the Amish have one more powerful weapon in their toolkit: diatomaceous earth. While the name might sound fancy, this natural powder is a game-changer for gardeners serious about pest control. Diatomaceous earth is made from the fossilized remains of tiny aquatic creatures called diatoms. When ground into a fine, chalky dust, it creates a highly effective pest barrier. The best part? It's completely safe for plants and harmless to the environment. But for pests like ants, beetles, and fleas, it's a different story. The sharp particles in the powder pierce their exoskeletons, causing them to dehydrate and perish. Applying diatomaceous earth is something of an art. Amish gardeners know it works best when applied dry, with a light dusting over areas where pests are likely to crawl, such as around the base of plants. Over-applying isn't ideal. A heavy layer might leave your garden looking like it's been hit by a snowstorm. While that might work as a spooky Halloween look, it's not great for plant health. For younger plants that are particularly vulnerable, the Amish apply diatomaceous earth generously during the early growth stages. Since it's all natural, it's not only safe for plants, but also for essential pollinators like bees, which are vital for a thriving garden. If you've ever worked with diatomaceous earth, you know it's a bit of a messy task. It tends to get everywhere, but its effectiveness makes the effort worthwhile. With this natural, eco-friendly approach, the Amish demonstrate that even the most persistent pests can be managed without resorting to harmful chemicals. The dust cloud that follows you when using diatomaceous earth is a well-known challenge, and the Amish are no strangers to it. That's why they take extra care to apply it precisely, ensuring that pests are discouraged from settling in their gardens. With diatomaceous earth in their pest control toolkit, it's no surprise their crops remain both pest-free and chemical-free. After all the sprays and dustings, there's still one important element to consider in the Amish approach: controlling weeds. Weeds may seem like a minor issue, but to the Amish they represent more than just an eyesore. They serve as hiding spots for pests. A garden that's well maintained is not just aesthetically pleasing, but also a fortress against unwanted invaders. By regularly addressing weeds, the Amish ensure pests never get the chance to establish themselves. They don't wait for weeds to take over. Instead, they make weeding a part of their daily gardening routine. Now that the basics of garden upkeep are handled, it's time to step up the game with some old-fashioned traps. The Amish have honed a crafty and effective method for catching pests. They've perfected the art of catch and release, but rather than releasing pests back into the garden, they ensure these intruders are sent far away, never to return. No bug wants to stick around after being caught in one of their homemade traps. One of the most commonly used traps is the sticky trap. These function similarly to those you'd find in your basement, but the Amish make their own. Using simple materials like old jar lids or scraps of cardboard, they smear them with sticky substances like molasses or honey. Once pests land on the trap, they're stuck fast. I gave this method a try myself to see how well it worked, and I was amazed. I caught more bugs in a single night than I had the whole gardening season. These traps are particularly effective at capturing flies, beetles, and other crawling pests that like to feast on plants. For a more advanced method, the Amish also use vinegar traps. These traps don't just catch pests. They also serve as a cleaning solution, making them a two-for-one deal. The Amish fill a jar with vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is the preferred choice, and cover it with a lid that has small holes. The sweet aroma of the vinegar attracts pests like fruit flies who land for a sip but end up trapped inside. This trap is also effective for luring other small insects, such as ants and gnats, keeping your plants free from those hard-to-spot critters. One of my personal favorites, however, is the Amish trick of using beer to catch slugs. While most of us enjoy a beer now and then, it turns out slugs are big fans too. The Amish, always resourceful, take advantage of this by placing small containers filled with beer around their gardens. Slugs are drawn to the drink, and while they don't leave once they've indulged, let's just say it's a one-way ticket for those slugs. They fall right in and don't make it out. Not only does this method effectively keep slugs away from your garden, but it's also a budget-friendly solution that doesn't require fancy, expensive traps. All you need is a leftover bottle of beer and a bit of patience. After trapping those pests, it's sometimes about bringing the right allies into the garden. The Amish have discovered that while pests can be a nuisance, the solution might already be buzzing around nearby. The answer? Beneficial insects. These little creatures aren't just part of the ecosystem, they're the garden's own security team. Rather than using chemicals to battle pests, the Amish rely on nature's defenders, like ladybugs, lacewings, and even predatory beetles. Ladybugs, or as I like to call them, the garden's tiny superheroes, are among the Amish's most trusted allies. They absolutely love munching on aphids, and can wipe out an entire aphid colony in no time, leaving your plants safe and healthy. I had an aphid problem once, and after releasing a few ladybugs, my plants seemed to let out a sigh of relief. It was as if they were saying, finally, some peace and quiet. Lacewings are another crucial part of this natural pest control team. These delicate insects may look innocent, but don't be fooled by their appearance. Lacewing larvae are fierce predators. They feast on aphids, mealybugs, and even white flies. I had the opportunity to watch them hunt one summer, and it felt like I was witnessing a nature documentary right in my backyard. They're incredibly effective, and like ladybugs, they get the job done without any mess. no squashing or cleanup required. The Amish even invite predatory beetles like the ground beetle to their gardens. These beetles feed on pests such as slugs and cutworms, while also contributing to soil health by maintaining a balanced ecosystem. They're like the undercover agents of the garden, working silently behind the scenes to keep things in order and prevent crop damage. To attract these beneficial insects, the Amish often plant flowers like dill, fennel, and goldenrod. These plants serve as beacons for insects looking for food or a place to lay eggs. It's like putting out a "Help Wanted" sign. But in this case, the job is keeping the garden safe from pests. Help is on its way to handle the pests and safeguard your garden. If you've ever wondered whether adding bugs to your garden would make things worse, let me assure you, these are the right kind of bugs. It's like hiring bodyguards for your plants. They're doing all the heavy lifting, and all you have to do is create a welcoming environment for them. They don't require much, just a little nectar and a few pests to feast on. From my experience, when these beneficial bugs are on the job, your plants thrive, the ecosystem stays balanced, and your garden transforms into a vibrant, natural community. This approach has been honed and trusted by the Amish for generations, and it's something anyone can adopt. No pesticides needed, just nature at its finest, working alongside you instead of against you. If you thought the Amish were all about keeping things neat and orderly, think again. When it comes to pest control, they've mastered the art of keeping pests on their toes. One of their best-kept secrets? Crop rotation. It's like a game of hide-and-seek for the bugs. Just when they think they've found their favorite food, the garden changes. By rotating crops each season, the Amish prevent pests from getting too comfortable with the same plants year after year. It's their way of saying, "You thought you had it easy with those tomatoes? Not anymore." Here's how it works. Pests tend to specialize in certain crops. By shifting the plants around, the Amish confuse those pests who would normally feast on a specific type of vegetable. It's like changing your password every few months. If you were a bug, you'd be scratching your head, wondering, "Wasn't there a tomato here last year?" This strategy also benefits the soil by preventing it from losing essential nutrients. So not only does it throw off the pests, but it keeps the garden healthy too. The idea behind crop rotation isn't just about tricking the pests, it's about timing and balance. For example, planting legumes like beans in soil that previously grew root crops like carrots or potatoes helps replenish nitrogen levels. The Amish understand that soil health plays a key role in keeping pests at bay. So this rotation system ensures that the garden stays healthy, which in turn makes the plants more resistant to bugs. Even a small garden can benefit from crop rotation. You don't need acres of land to make it work. I once decided to rotate my tomato and cucumber plants in a small backyard garden, and within just a few weeks, I noticed fewer pests and a significant boost in growth. The bugs never had the chance to settle in and cause trouble. It was like pulling a fast one on the pests each year. They never knew what to expect. The Amish don't rely on high-tech tools or intricate systems for crop rotation. They've been practicing it for generations, simply adjusting based on what works best for their specific soil and climate. It's about understanding the land, knowing when to shake things up a bit, and combining a little strategy, patience, and an abundance of nature's wisdom. With this approach, pests don't stand a chance. It's one of those timeless methods that leaves you wondering why everyone doesn't do it. With this knowledge, you're now one step closer to adopting the Amish-approved way of keeping your garden pest-free. But even with all these techniques, the Amish never stop caring for their gardens. They keep things neat, remove dead leaves, and even welcome beneficial insects to patrol the garden. No corner is left unchecked. In an Amish garden, everything is constantly observed to ensure pests can't invade. It's all about maintaining balance in the garden and preventing one unwanted visitor from tipping the scales. This consistent focus on natural pest control, combined with their deep respect for nature's cycles, is what makes the Amish approach to gardening so effective. While it might seem like a lot of effort, it's an investment in the health and long-term sustainability of the garden. No chemicals, just good old-fashioned ingenuity, patience, and a little humor to keep things light. Next time you spot a pest trying to invade your garden, remember there's a whole world of natural Amish-inspired methods to show them the door. And who knows, maybe you'll start thinking that those bugs should reconsider their choices.